Have you ever paused to consider the enduring power of ancient stories? Have you ever wondered if the great flood stories from ancient times, tales that resonate across millennia, might be rooted in real events? Could these narratives, passed down through generations, hold a kernel of historical truth, reflecting a cataclysmic event that reshaped civilizations? These tales echo across cultures, from Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, to the Hebrew Bible, spanning vast geographical distances and diverse belief systems, hinting at a shared memory of catastrophe, a collective trauma etched into the very fabric of human consciousness. The idea of a world-drowning flood is more than myth. It transcends mere storytelling. It's a primal fear, deeply ingrained in our psyche, a reflection of our vulnerability in the face of nature's raw power, especially for those living along unpredictable rivers whose lives and livelihoods were intimately tied to the ebb and flow of the waters. Like the Tigris and Euphrates, the lifeblood of Mesopotamia, which could bring both sustenance and devastation. What's remarkable is how specific details, seemingly insignificant nuances, like the construction of an ark, a vessel designed to weather the storm, appear in both Mesopotamian and biblical accounts, suggesting a common source or a shared understanding. Did one culture borrow from another through the intricate web of ancient trade routes and cultural exchange, or did they all witness something unforgettable? A cataclysmic event so profound that it left an indelible mark on their collective memory. In Mesopotamia, the birthplace of writing and civilization, the land between two rivers, we find the earliest flood stories preserved on clay tablets, predating the Bible by over 1,000 years, offering a glimpse into the dawn of human storytelling. These aren't just myths, they are cultural artifacts. They're windows into how our ancestors made sense of their world, grappling with existential questions of disaster and the divine, seeking meaning in the face of overwhelming forces. By comparing these stories, meticulously analyzing their similarities and differences, we can trace the journey of an idea through time, unraveling the threads of cultural transmission, searching for the faint geological footprint of a real flood, buried beneath layers of sediment and time that may have inspired them all, a cataclysm that echoes through the ages. Mesopotamia, nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates, was a crucible of human achievement, home to the first cities, the wheel, and the invention of writing. With cuneiform, ancient peoples recorded not just trade and law, but their deepest fears and hopes. Their myths were more than entertainment. They were guides for surviving a world ruled by unpredictable gods. These stories, preserved on clay tablets, are the ancestors of all Western literature. The Mesopotamians wrote of gods like Anu, Enlil, and Enki, deities deeply involved in human affairs. Their epics grappled with mortality, heroism, and the meaning of existence. Among their most enduring tales is that of a world-destroying flood, a narrative so powerful it echoed through neighboring cultures. These stories became the cultural bedrock of the ancient Near East, influencing sacred texts for millennia. Long before the tale of Noah and his ark became a cornerstone of religious narrative, Mesopotamians, in the cradle of civilization, were already telling a similar story of a great flood in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This epic poem, etched in cuneiform on clay tablets, tells of the mighty hero Gilgamesh, who, driven by grief and the fear of mortality, seeks out Utnapishtim, a figure shrouded in mystery and legend. Utnapishtim is not just any man. He is the sole survivor of a cataclysmic flood that reshaped the world, an event etched in the collective memory of his people. He recounts to Gilgamesh how the gods, powerful and capricious, grew weary and annoyed by the ceaseless noise and clamor of humanity, finding it unbearable. In their divine council, they made the drastic decision to unleash a devastating flood, intending to wipe out mankind and silence the world. However, the god Ea, known for his wisdom and compassion, couldn't bear to see humanity extinguished. Acting in secret, he subtly warns Utnapishtim of the impending doom, delivering the message through a reed wall, urging him to build an ark. Ea provides precise instructions for the ark's construction, emphasizing the importance of saving not only himself, but also telling him to save his family, ensuring the continuation of his lineage. Furthermore, Utnapishtim is tasked with preserving the essence of life itself, gathering and saving the seed of all living things, every creature great and small. Utnapishtim, trusting in the god's wisdom, obeys without hesitation, embarking on the monumental task of building the vessel, a testament to his faith and resilience. As the floodwaters rise, Utnapishtim and his ark are tossed about by a storm of unimaginable ferocity, a tempest unleashed by the gods' wrath. The storm rages relentlessly for 6 days and 7 nights, an unending period of chaos and destruction that tests the limits of survival. Finally, as the floodwaters begin to recede, the ark, battered but afloat, comes to rest on a mountain, a beacon of hope amidst the devastation. Eager to find signs of life, Utnapishtim releases birds, sending them out as messengers to search for dry land and a sign of renewal. In gratitude for their survival, Utnapishtim offers a sacrifice to the gods, a gesture of appeasement and thanksgiving for their deliverance. The gods, weary from their destructive outburst and hungry for offerings, gather around the altar, drawn by the enticing aroma of the sacrifice. However, Enlil, the storm god, is furious at the unexpected survival of humanity, seeing it as a defiance of his divine will. But Ea, ever the voice of reason, persuades him to temper his anger and spare humanity from future annihilation, advocating for a more balanced approach. As a reward for his faithfulness and for preserving life on Earth, Utnapishtim and his wife are granted the extraordinary gift of immortality, elevated to a divine status. Their tale becomes a symbol of hope and resilience, a testament to the enduring power of preserving life against all odds. This story, vivid and dramatic in its depiction of divine wrath and human endurance, stands as the oldest surviving account of a world-destroying flood, a foundational narrative in human history. Its core details, a divine warning foretelling the impending disaster, the construction of an ark to escape the deluge, the release of birds to seek out land, and the offering of a sacrifice after the flood, would set the template and provide a framework for later flood myths and legends that resonated across cultures and throughout history. The biblical flood story in Genesis is iconic, but its roots run deep. Here, a single God, grieved by human wickedness, decides to cleanse the earth with a flood. Noah, righteous and obedient, is chosen to build an ark, following detailed instructions to save his family and pairs of every animal. When the rains come, the ark floats above a drowned world for 150 days. Noah sends out a raven and then a dove to find dry land. When the waters recede, Noah offers a sacrifice, and God promises never to destroy the world by flood again, sealing the covenant with a rainbow. The story is a moral drama about judgment, survival, and renewal. Its sequence, divine warning, ark, flood, birds, sacrifice, mirrors the ancient Mesopotamian narrative. Place the Mesopotamian and biblical flood stories side by side, and the similarities are striking. Both begin with a divine decision to destroy humanity, a chosen hero, and a detailed ark built to save life. The vessels are sealed with pitch, loaded with animals, and survive a world-ending storm. Both arks come to rest on a mountain, and both heroes send out birds to check for dry land. After the flood, each hero offers a sacrifice, and the divine responds, hungry gods in Gilgamesh, a covenant in Genesis. Even the sequence of events, ark, flood, birds, sacrifice, is nearly identical. The differences lie in motivation, noisy humans versus moral corruption, many gods versus one. Yet the core narrative is unmistakably shared. These parallels suggest a common origin, with each culture adapting the story to its own worldview. The similarities between these myths have led many to ask, was there a real flood? In the 1920s, archaeologist Leonard Woolley found a thick layer of flood-deposited clay at Ur, sparking claims of proof for the Great Flood. But further digs revealed flood layers at different cities, from different centuries, evidence of many catastrophic floods, not one universal deluge. These local disasters were devastating enough to inspire epic stories. Another theory points to the Black Sea. As glaciers melted, the Mediterranean burst through, flooding the basin in a cataclysmic event. Such a flood could have displaced entire populations, seeding memories of disaster that spread and evolved. While no single flood matches the myth, real events likely inspired the enduring stories. The search for a historical flood continues, blending archaeology, geology, and legend. The quest to uncover evidence of a single cataclysmic great flood reveals a fascinating interplay, a dance between myth and history, particularly in the ancient world. It highlights how these two seemingly distinct realms were deeply intertwined in the minds of early civilizations. For ancient peoples, myths weren't just fanciful tales, they were a vital form of truth. explaining the inexplicable disasters that shaped their lives, teaching essential values and societal norms, and profoundly exploring humanity's complex relationship with the divine, the forces they believed governed their existence. A devastating flood, in its sheer destructive power, could easily feel like the absolute end of the world, a complete annihilation of everything they knew, and the telling and retelling of stories, passed down through generations, gave meaning and order to the apparent chaos. Over generations, these stories were refined and embellished, real events gradually growing into epic tales. The flood itself became bigger and more destructive, the hero more righteous and courageous, and the gods' motives, whether benevolent or wrathful, became clearer and more defined. The Mesopotamian flood story in particular became a template, a foundational narrative, spreading far and wide across the Near East through trade, migration, and cultural exchange, evolving and adapting with each retelling, shaped by the unique perspectives of different cultures. The Hebrews, for example, adapted it to their own monotheistic worldview, transforming the often capricious and noisy pantheon of gods into a single god delivering a moral judgment upon humanity. The myth, in this new context, gained a new and profound purpose, becoming a powerful story of sin and divine retribution, survival against all odds, and ultimately redemption through faith and obedience. Therefore, what we're seeing when we compare these ancient accounts is not simply two versions of the same historical event, but rather the fascinating evolution of a single incredibly powerful narrative, shaped by the beliefs and values of different cultures over vast stretches of time. The flood myth, in this sense, became far more than just a recounting of history. It became an integral part of our cultural DNA, a fundamental building block of human understanding. Its enduring power and continued relevance lies in its profound ability to transform the apparent chaos of existence into a meaningful narrative, offering hope and understanding in the face of overwhelming adversity. Beyond Gilgamesh, even older Mesopotamian texts reveal more about the flood myth. The Sumerian Eridu Genesis and the Epic of Atrahasis tell of gods creating humans to do their work, then sending a flood when humanity becomes too noisy. In Atrahasis, the gods try plague and drought before resorting to the flood, with Enki secretly helping the hero survive. A Babylonian tablet describes the ark as a giant round coracle, matching local riverboats, not the ship-shaped ark of later tradition. The animals still enter two by two, and the hero's wife plays a more active role, sometimes named and given agency. These details show the story's evolution, from labor disputes among gods to moral lessons, from round boats to wooden ships. The flood myth was a team effort, not just a lone hero's tale. Each retelling added new layers, reflecting the concerns and culture of its time. The story's adaptability is part of its enduring appeal. The flood myth is one of humanity's most persistent stories, found from Mesopotamia to Greece, India, and beyond. It speaks to our deepest fears and hopes: destruction, survival, and the chance for renewal. The journey of this story from Sumerian clay tablets to sacred scriptures shows the power of cultural transmission. Each culture reshaped the myth, turning noisy humans and irritable gods into profound moral dramas. Today, as we face our own environmental crises, these ancient stories feel more relevant than ever. They remind us of our fragility and the power of nature, serving as cautionary tales about human actions. Whether fact, memory, or symbol, the flood myth has shaped law, art, and imagination for millennia. From a whisper in ancient Sumer to a rainbow in Genesis, the Great Flood remains a timeless epic of destruction, survival, and hope.